Turn to pick.
Chaos versus Gaming.
Hello everybody and welcome back inside Key Arena. We are here and ready for Digital Chaos versus Wings Gaming, game number 1. Joining me this time, we got of course back Draskell Black, and we've gotten rid of Winter and we brought in Mr. Ben Merlini-Wu. Ben, welcome to our drafting panel right now. So I'll hit you up with our first question. Wings, are they or are they not one of the most entertaining drafting teams in the game right now?
Of course, I had them as favorite for the whole tournament, not because I like watching them. Well, I like watching them, but also because I think they have the versatility. They adapt really, really quickly. And looking at the draft right now, I think it's a little bit surprising that Wings were given Mirana. What do you guys think?
I think it's weird to pick Mirana into Oracle. I mean, we've seen in the group stage how effective that hero can be individually against Mirana when you rely so heavily on like an arrow combination into like the Star Storms of Ags, and just seems to be almost a hard counter to the Mirana build nowadays. So I mean, obviously they're very good with the hero, so they're feeling confident, but an interesting opening.
I mean, they've played the hero a lot in the group stage, and they've won a lot with it too. Like, they've had a rocky group stage, but when they pick Mirana, they've won most of their games, so they're definitely confident. And then they pick draw right after, obviously.
Now it makes much more sense.
Now it makes way more sense, yeah.
Obviously now this will ramp up the pace quite a bit for Wings. For DC though, I mean, I don't mean to step too far out of the draft, but this is a team who obviously had huge success in the group stage. What do you think though, gentlemen? Is there going to be a little bit of jitters now that you hit up the main stage?
I mean, I guess it's, you know, obviously the first time as a team they've been on a stage this big, so there's obviously something to be said for nerves, but I think, you know, they're coming in hungry. It's like Misery said, so I think they have a good shot.
We'll see what they do, but now they see a Drow Ranger. So what is your first impression about that, and how do you look to already take an initiative to respond to it?
Well, a lot of teams, what they like to do is they just pressure the Drow very heavily. Like sometimes you see just immediate like jungle heroes, you dive the Drow, you just pressure the lane super hard. You can also pick a lot of deep push to try to draw the game out past the Drow's usefulness, but that one I feel is a bit harder. I think it's more likely that DC just want to go aggressive.
Yeah, what you said about the Drow, you usually pressure her, which is the correct thing to do, but the other lanes are very hard to play because let's say you have like a Prophet off lane and then like a bottom middle. It's really hard to lane against those heroes one-on-one if they have the Drow aura.
Looks like Digital Chaos are going to be snagging up an Alchemist here to match up with the Oracle in the second pick here, Ben. So Digital Chaos saying, you got a Drow, you're going to look to go fast, we're going to go Alchemist and make it more greedy.
They did have a lot of success with Alchemist in the group stage. I believe the GPM record for this year's TI is already set by week 1090 on the Alchemist, and Oracle is one of the best partners. You can easily ban AA out in the second phase. I'm not sure how well it deals with the Drow Ranger though. If Alchemist is strong enough, you can just man-fight the Drow Ranger at any point. But the only problem is maybe Drow's going to take down all your T1s and Alchemist has nowhere to farm.
Gentlemen, we're in that second phase now, so I have to ask the question. Huskar, is it something to worry about? Is it something they have to get rid of, or is it something that might be passed on altogether?
I think it's more likely that DC would play it than Wings at this point. But I don't necessarily know if Wings are super scared of it. As we see, they take out Resolution Slark. It's been one of his staple heroes so far throughout the group stage and whatnot. But yeah, I think, I mean, it's always possible, but I don't think for Wings.
No, Huskar could be very problematic for Wings because the Alchemist could go for the traditional Solar Crest build, and you can actually Solar Crest the Huskar really early on and you have Oracle to back him up. It could be really problematic for Wings, but I just don't think that DC really likes that hero.
I'd be much more worried about the Ursa or Morph. I think both of those they've seen a lot more success with. There's way more up their playstyle, and I think it combos way better with their lineup at the moment. Like you already have a lineup based around Alk. You can't fit a lineup around an Alk and a Huskar. It's one or the other.
DC do take the initiative to get rid of that AA, though obviously very good against both Oracle and Alchemist. Could rid of their whole sustain power if given the opportunity, so they decide to make the initiative and get rid of that.
Yeah, also sets the path for Morphling, as you already said. AA is a Morphling hard counter, and Resolution really likes playing Morphling. It goes really well with the Alchemist as well.
Don't you feel the pace of the game is way too slow if you pick Morph and Alka in the same team against Tro?
Yeah, I think that's why I'm leaning more towards the Ursa, especially because in our
Ursa I think would be very good, actually, at this point. Because, I mean, with Oracle Ursa, you can kill Roshan at, like, any point in the game. And if Wings aren't ready for it in any area, you just get it for free. So, I think that one is much more likely.
And Ursa is what you hear the most as a Drow Ranger. Somebody getting close to you and just killing you.
Yeah, and that's actually another really good point, because up until now, like, obviously DC have no gap close. They don't have a hero who's actually going to get into the face of Drow. You want at least one on the team to make sure you're breaking the door.
You just need a hero that can blink next to her to make sure the ult is not active. Yeah. And then the whole team is a lot weaker.
There's still Bat Rider too. They don't even need a position 1 to do it. They can have a position 3.
Yeah, I was going to make that note too. They still hold Moo's pick, and he's typically that guy for DC to take that role. And I wouldn't mind him seeing the Bat Rider there. We'll see if it stays in the pool or not. Wings are going to get rid of the Beastmaster, though.
A bit worried about the Beast and the Bad Rider. Obviously provides a lot of vision, a lot of pushing power with the Drow Ranger. Can couple that up with the Vengeful Spirit as well.
I think the DC might just go back for the Moo Timber, honestly. It's very protected in this draft so far. Like, Beastmaster is actually good against Timber if Wings wanted to potentially pick it up and just go for like the Mass Aura strat, so banning that makes it, I think, a little bit better. AA is obviously good against Timber as well, so is Sand King, so there's a lot of really good openings here.
Generally, Drow lanes really well against Timber. Like, Timber's gonna have a hard time if there's one support plus a Drow. You can't really get close and get your level 3 that you really need to sustain, so maybe he might have to start Iron Tail in jungle if you really want to get the Timber through.
I think they need heroes that don't really need that much help and can help other lanes, like, I don't know, Ogre or something like that, Riki, someone that can like pressure the lanes, and then self-sufficient laners so that you need time for Alchemist. When you have Alchemist, you don't need other heroes that take a lot of time to ramp up, especially versus a Drow.
Yeah, Alchemist is just a hero. You have a bad early game, it doesn't really matter because you will just feed your team in Aghanims and he can just take over the control of the game by himself. And they definitely need to secure the Alchemist farm. Like, they need to stack the jungle and then secure it with their heroes. Oracle is a really good hero for that. And we'll see how they want to round up the lineup.
Yeah, DC got rid of that Dazzle in the second phase, and we go back to Wings Gaming. This is where typically Wings like to pull something out that makes things a bit more spicy.
This is typically when Wings are just like, Warlock. and everyone's scratching their heads going, wait, what? But they always manage to make it work somehow. I think up until the TI group stages, they had won like 5 games in a row with Pudge or something like that, Pudge support.
Oh yeah, they played a lot of Pudge.
This time though, no Pudge. They're going to go right for the Rubik. We saw a lot of success in the group stage with it in the hands of Liquid and company. What's his deal here though? I mean, it's not like there's a wealth of spells to steal. It's not like Null Field is super valuable at this point in the game. What's his deal now?
Well, Rubik is just generally a very good lane support, and it goes really well with the Mirana too if they want to run it as a core, because you can lift him back straight into like an arrow, and then it sets up for a really easy kill. May it be middle, may it be safe, then we don't know yet.
Yeah, there's another thing too about Rubik when you have Drow is that typically Rubik's not like the best lane support for harass or anything like that, but when you have the aura, like every little bit helps and it just makes the lane that much stronger, and as Black already said, the combinations are nice with the Mirana.
Going back for the Kunkka, probably position 4 support, as we have seen a lot during this tournament. It's really nice with Alchemist as well, because with those 2 support heroes, you will pretty much never die in a team fight. It's like almost impossible. You will heal so much and tank so much. Well, how are they gonna deal with all the tank ability?
I don't actually know how they kill Alk.
Yeah.
If he gets Rum and he has ultimate on with Oracle ulti as well.
The only thing they need is a hero to close the gap to Drow, and they literally have no damage against the Alk.
They could kite the Alchemist too. We saw them run a support Morphling one time. I mean, you can make illusions of him.
Wings did, right?
Yeah, Wings did it. I think it's a pretty fine solution for them, but yeah, they're not killing him. I think they have to kite him.
Okay.
All right. Something fresh for the main stage?
That's not. I think it's probably like support or something.
I mean, I guess you just, Alchemist doesn't want to buy BKB, right? So you just throw him up in the air.
Yeah. Or you drunken haze him.
Yeah.
We don't know what carry they're gonna pick yet, but Brewmaster really limits, like, it doesn't limit the carry pool, but it makes some heroes really hard to play.
Yeah, make it, like, Ursa's terrible versus Brew.
Yeah.
And then, like, Morphling's okay, but I don't know if you want to line up that slow.
We're not sure yet where he's going to end up. Do you think just not the simple one-on-one matchup in the mid lane could be okay? You know, him benefiting a bit with the mischance with Drunken Haze?
It's just generally they'd run the Mirana mid and then the Drow Ranger safe lane.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to run off lane.
It could be off lane. It could be an off-lane Brewmaster. We have seen it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pretty hard to lane though against, like, if you get another range support or range carry, Oracle plus 1 range carry, you can never lane there. Though he could go Iron Tail in jungle, he's pretty fast at that. Like, I've tried it myself.
He has evasion crit, and he doesn't have too bad a stack gain, so it's okay. I'm kind of leaning more towards the 1v1 though, because I feel like, as you already said, if you want to go off lane with it, you're gonna get pressured too hard, and you want the quick 6. You can rotate Mirana into farm. Like, what does every team do? They just farm the Mirana, even if it's support, after the laning phase breaks down. You can still get a 20-minute Aghanims.
Looks like DC are going to be snagging up the Mighty Axe with their 4th pick. We're going to be in for some dunkage.
This is such an insane combo with Kunkka as well. You get a decent call on top of a Torrent and a boat, and like team fight just automatically ownage. I'm really liking what DC are bringing to the table. I think that their draft is very well rounded. They have heroes that protect the Alchemist extremely well, that don't just rely on the laning phase. Like throughout all stages, you can protect him and hope that he gets to that critical mass.
I mean, they have lots of disables, they have saves, they have BKB peers, they have farm. Like, they shouldn't be worried at any time at this point. They shouldn't be worried at any time that they might lose the game.
The only weakness their lineup has is the lanes. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Wings having Dro and 2 other ranged heroes, you're kind of leaning more towards them. They are going to take out the Ursa here.
I'm a bit surprised by that because Brewmaster is a really hard counter to Ursa.
But you can only... Well, I guess you can haze one, throw the other one up, right?
Yeah.
You can just do both. So yeah, it's a little bit strange.
I think they want to make sure that they get Roche.
But you can just ult off the haze, right?
Yeah, if you have Aghanims, you can. Not without... No, you mean, yeah.
Just haze,
yeah.
The tornado you can't without egg.
Yeah, I thought you meant the tornado. Well, DC definitely need to strengthen the lanes a bit because Alchemist is really vulnerable right now. Like even if it's Brewmaster mid, just one clap and the Rubik lives and the Alchemist just dies. Yeah, like Panda actually did a lot of damage.
We'll have to see what DC are going to be rounding out in their lineup here to help a bit with that laning stage, or if Wings are going to grab something to kind of punish them for a weaker start or not. Last ban, by the way, from DC was getting rid of that Timber Saw, so see what they do to round things out. We anticipate the supports are already unlocked, the core, the off lane here, so it's looking like the mighty Weehaw hero.
And for Nature's Prophet?
Or Nature's Prophet.
So it's safe in Axe then.
Yeah, and they also want to pressure the lanes a lot more by having the Fury.
It might also be block pick because the only real good offlaner left for Wings that's range and goes really well with Drow would be that Prophet. And they banned the Timber Saw out already, of course.
I mean, it's Bat Rider. They have Oracle, you're right. I mean, that's the only other range.
I mean, Bat Rider is still...
The Bat is still fine.
It's okay.
But they have X too. Like, he jumps in, you X him, and you bolt on top of him.
They want Wind Ranger sometimes too, I don't know.
Of course, I keep Wings. Why not?
Wings draft.
So, we'll get to see now. Ice, by the way, highly regarded as one of the best keepers in the world, gentlemen. Now that we see the full 5-man draft, what do you think before we hand it over?
Offlane Brewmaster.
I'm still thinking that DC, and I'm liking their draft a lot.
I'm not exactly sure what to expect from Wings, so I'm gonna go from them.
Fair enough.
Yeah, Wings is definitely unpredictable, but yeah, I love them. I love watching them play, so I'll just enjoy my time and say Wings.
Awesome. We'll look forward to the hype match, and I'm sure these guys will as well. Let's send it over to the floor right now where we have our 2 casters for our second series today. It's LD and Mott. Gentlemen, have some fun.
Thanks so much, guys. And of course, LD, we do see the Brewmaster coming out for Wings Gaming. Of course, a lot of expectations for these 2 teams. Who do you think is going to come out on top in this particular matchup?
I mean, with Wings Gaming, you really have to expect the unexpected. This team can win a tournament, they can finish at the bottom. Their last major event was the Manila Major. They faced DC in 2 best-of-3s month. They actually won 4. They lost both of those series, so I have to say with Wings, to me, the big thing they have to prove is that they can get it done on the main stage at a major event. This is their big shot. Sure about the Keeper of the Light pick, but Wings get their Drow, and I think what we should expect from them is a lot of pressure early. They're not going to just sit back and let DC farm. I think strategically, this is the type of draft that Wings has done well with. I do agree it's a little bit of a tricky Drow Ranger game. There's a lot of gap close, there's a lot of catch. The key is really going to be the performance of the Brewmaster.
Yes.
Faith Beyond has to get a lot done with those splits.
You know, a couple of patches ago when Brewmaster was popular, we saw with particular Drow strats that you would often need that tanky frontliner, and Brewmaster was one of those heroes that was commonly picked. So we'll see how things do transition for this Brewmaster played by Faith Beyond. But for now, look at the way the laning is going to shape up here as you have the Mirana as well as the Keeper of the Light heading towards the top rune spot, but already DC invading the jungle. Smoked up as well, ready to go, trying to find some sort of initiation, dropping some wards down as well, but so far no such luck, LD.
Yeah, aggressive move here into the woods. I think DC just looking for a pick. There's no one who's more like of an AFK jungle farmer. Keeper of the Light may be looking to stack a bit, but something Wings could do is go aggressive with the Keeper of the Light. Generally, that's what we've seen. When teams pick Keeper, they at least want to contest the enemy safe lane. They don't necessarily go full aggro tri-lane. They're not necessarily looking for kills, but they are looking to put pressure on the lanes early and try and draw the enemy supports there. If you do that, the Drow will have an easy time. As I say that, though, Drow is bottom by herself against potentially 3 heroes. This hero is not a 1v3 kind of carry, so as soon as these lanes develop, Wings are going to need to make rotation, or Shadow is going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, DC, obviously, with these three heroes, there's a lot of lockdown and a lot of damage, especially with the Axe coming in with the counter helixes as well.
Oh, they do see the Rubik of Innocence. Y is walking in.
They have Fortune's End as well as Torrent ready to go, and they're going to use it immediately. Their Torrent's going to come next for Misery. This might be First Blood. Lift will come through, move. Not quite there yet to get the Battle Hunger off. This should be First Blood, and it will be for Misery.
Easy catch there. That all set up by the Observer Ward. I don't think Wings was expecting this aggressive tri-lane. It's a very unusual combo. The Kunkka Axe duo, two melee heroes, but you've got really good catch. I don't think this dual lane can do much. Drow is very indefensible. Rubik, even if he sits behind her, a lift may not be enough to save. Once the Axe gets level 2,
mid. Well, we'll just take some damage.
They will have 3 ways to catch, and you've only got a lift to try and save. They're moving on Shadow again, bottom. We're trying to set up. Torrent connects. This looks bad, and Shadow likely to go down again. This lane mod is not going to work.
Yeah, this tri-lane obviously paying dividends already for DC, whether they have to rotate out the Keeper of the Light. And it looks like he's rotating through the river as we speak, heading down to that bottom lane. We'll see if he continues and actually tries to help out that lane with Illuminate and whatever he can give, Mana Leak as well. But this mid lane matchup, very interesting. 11 last hits from Mirana. Blink loves this hero, but
issue for Wings here is now that they've given up kills, there's going to be boots picked up early on these supports. Misery already has his along with the Windlace, 365 move speed, so he can dive the Drow pretty easily. He can catch her out. Mu also has boots on the Axe. They are chasing Misery, but Innocence going to have trouble securing a kill. Doesn't have the boots, and so if they want at this point, they can leave the Axe alone. They can start rotating with their supports, or they can look to keep pressure up. But just because Keeper's here doesn't mean Wings are safe. Any of these heroes who gets caught out is a kill, and especially if it's the Rubik. He's the closest thing they have to a disengage. So already the lane's looking great. Bottom, mid lane, like you said, Blink is doing exceptionally well on Mirana. It's an advantage matchup for Mirana early, but Alk doesn't need to win the lane. He just needs to get levels and not die. So I think DC totally fine with that. And keep in mind, we have not seen the Nature's Prophet of Resolution move yet. But with this aggressive tri-lane, he might soon. Moving on to Shadow now. Move. He does miss the call.
They won't be able to find it. Illuminate misses as well. Torrent comes out. Ice will take that damage. Lift coming through from Innocence to bring him back. The Frost Arrows, they have the damage to pump out here. It looks like he might be able to get away. One more Frost Arrow, but it won't be enough. They'll turn their attention to Soxa, but they will both get out in that situation.
They all have boots now, and DC want to go back in. Wise out a bit far. They might catch Innocence again.
TP
get a third kill.
They're
make it a quad lane.
That's too much damage, and Resolution finally getting involved, as you talked about. TPing from that top lane. Yes, it leaves the Brewmaster alone, but that's still a kill that is going to go the way of Digital Chaos. You're starting up 3-0 LD.
The tri-lane is over, and kind of by default at this point. They can leave Resolution here if they want, send the Axe to the safe lane to get an early blink. He can go jungle, give someone else that safe lane. DC have all kinds of options with the lanes, whereas Wings are pretty much, at this point, locked in to a full defensive tri-lane from a disadvantage. It seems like they may relieve a bit of pressure on Wings here, but with the way the lanes have developed, Wings are very reliant right now on Faith Beyond's first movement as the Brewmaster, potentially some good rune luck for Blink, but if they don't get either of those, they're just going to be playing on the back foot. And when you're running a Drow lineup, you need to be on the offensive here, especially against an Alchemist on the dire side. DC, otherwise, they're just going to win in a farm war straight up. So
the good news is
it's on the cores now for Wings, the mid laner and the off laner.
The good news is for Wings is that there are no stacks currently in the jungle for DC. They're not stacking up for the Alchemist to use his Acid Spray. Sure, Weeha's done an okay job getting some battery runes. He's got one so far, I believe, or two to his name, as he picks up a double damage rune as well. We'll head back towards, of course, that bottom lane where it looks like they're going to rotate potentially two. We'll see where the Nature's Prophet TPs into as they have top lane, the Axe rotating up. Of course, taking that lane. Another rotation coming to that top lane is going to be Innocence. Looking for a lift. The call will go first. Good counter helix damage as well. The Fable coming out. There's the clap. Do they have the damage? No. Ulti coming up from Faith Beyond. The lift coming through. Now the Drow using the right click. They might be able to bring him down. Here comes Resolution. You want that kill on Faith Beyond. Will he be able to find it, LD?
Route on the Y, looking for more. They do manage to get the Axe kill finally, but they had to gank with the Drow Ranger. And immediately DC start to move in bottom. They do have an Observer Ward. Scouted out Ice. Misery hunting him. The Moonlight Shadow going to wear off fairly soon. Does Misery manage to find him? Oh, he jukes the wrong way. So he will make it out. Wings do get a kill there, and that makes a big difference with their cores now farming very well. The Drow Ranger are starting to kick into effect, and mid lane, Blake jumps in, he gets the double Starstorm.
He's gonna survive this. They have the TP coming through as well. Saksa, Vortex and not in range to use it, but on the backside coming in Misery, gets off the Torrent as well, and it'll hit this time. They're gonna go with the right click, the Purifying Flames, body blocks, no leak for 15, and another one will get the kill for Saksa.
But while that's happening, Innocent smoked up, moving towards Resolution top. At the same time, DC heading bottom. Team's looking to set up a follow-up gank. Resolution only level 4 with that rotation bottom. He's a bit under-leveled here. Shadow actually out-leveling solo hero now, and potentially can kill the Prophet. Does a phase boot, though he's not the easiest kill. So Ice, he holds the safe lane, which is now the danger zone, so not really a safe lane at all with the amount of pressure DC put here. And I like this movement by Wings. They recognize DC are intent and hell-bent on taking this tower bottom early, so if someone's going to die, best it's the Keeper of the Light, a hero that doesn't really need farm. And speaking of dying, Mod, that might be happening right now. Do they know where he is? They should have seen he doesn't have a TP.
Who's going to find him? Yeah, he's got the call ready to go. He's going to first just get a counter Helix proc. Right now, the chop will come through, the first of the game for Moo, and it's 5-1 already. Maybe we'll get this tier 1 tower more than likely, as there is a setup gang coming in from mid as Innocence is on the high ground ready to go. Still only level 2 for this Rubik right now. Very underleveled.
Though it's very hard to initiate this gank without boots. Rubik has suboptimal base move speed, only 290. Alchemist, very tanky. They're trying to wait out the Chemical Rage and then go. Can't even get in range. Just no boots on the Rubik at 7 minutes. He's actually bought them already, but with that rotation failing, DC take the tower bottom. The trade may be coming top, but look at DC. They really want to defend their safe lane tower. They do not want the Drow Ranger Steamroller to start rolling.
There's 2 heroes up there now. At any moment, they can rotate more, including the Axe mid lane. Weeha still top in net worth right now. Obviously, of course, that Chemical Rage, and the Greevil's greed at 3 points. It'll be kicking in further and further as the game progresses, but looking for those stacks in the jungle is going to be Faith Beyond.
VPing in top, behind Shadow.
To get caught, that's going to be the Fortune's Head coming through. They have Purifying Flames with a great Torrent again from Misery, and it's just too much damage with the right click in from Resolution as well. Another pickup going the way of DC.
Overall, DC, things still going reasonably well. They have the armlet coming for Weeha, and leading by a significant margin when it comes to net worth. Of course, you expect to generally be ahead a bit with Greevil's Greed, but the big issue for me is Wings have 2 ways to start fights right now. One of them is Moonlight Shadow. The other way would be a Blake Dagger on the Brewmaster, but he's nowhere near it. So as long as DC keeps sentries down, Wings can't really apply pressure around the map, outside of maybe a smoke gank, but that's very risky against Nature's Prophet. High chance to get turned is bottom lane. Moo moves on Innocence, he gets off the lift. Good nuke there from the Keeper of the Light, but is it enough? He's just diving for them now, says, screw it, I'm going to TP out.
He might make it. Last right click, Shadow won't be able to connect. It was so close, he was just in range. TP'd at the perfect time, and he's able to make it out.
Forces 3, almost 4 heroes bottom, with Blink moving a bit that way from the jungle, so still overall, DC the ones pulling Wings around the map, and I think the way the game's developing, Wings really need to prioritize the Brewmaster. Blake, he had a decent off lane, 36 CS Brew, not really known for crushing his lane normally, but mid lane, they try to set up on Weeha. He's just too tanky, though.
They won't even go for the lift. They say, let me just drop this ward and get out of here. There's going to be still a double Starfall proc coming in on Weeha. He does have his armlet, and again, it's that timing, that 12 to 14 minute timing, where you want that rating as quickly as possible after the armlet coming out. So good farm for Weeha so far. And of course, Resolution third, only behind that of Blink on the Mirana.
Strategically, the other big concern here for Wings is when you look at the 2 lineups, DC, they're all about sustain, right? They have the Oracle, the Alchemist with the Armlet and Chemical Rage, even the Kunkka, Coco Rum. And the longer the fight goes, the better it's generally going to look for DC. And without clean initiation, and even if Wings have a Blink on this Brewmaster, they don't have that much burst damage. Eventually, Mirana may get Ags, but that's still a ways off. So finding kills on some of the tankier cores, like the Alchemist especially, the Axe even, not easy with the way the game's begun for Wings. They smoked, they moved top, but Mott, it broke. Ice has been scouted. Potentially, we could even see DC look to punish this.
Even if they get this kill, it's not that high value of a target. Saksa is still one of the lowest in net worth right now, and everyone else is farming. They will TP up on the Kunkka for now.
They need to get kills that transition into tower pushes, and right now DC, first of all, not giving up the kills, and then secondly, there's no Drow there, so the push is going to be very underwhelming. Still working on that Dragonland Shadow. He just doesn't feel safe to farm bottom, and that's why you saw DC prioritize taking that safe lane tower so heavily. it really limits the safe space for the Keeper of the Light to farm stacks and for the Drow to farm the lane. Blink, he'll take down the tower mid. He does hit Weehaw with an arrow, gets the last hit. Nice little play there from Mirana and some much needed gold for the team.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good tier 1 tower to take down as well. Probably the most important in this early game. As you were talking about it, they need that gold for the Drow Ranger. They need that gold for Faith Beyond as well. Trying to get to that Blink Dagger resolution. And that top lane, he's going to back away from the tier 1 tower. Might set up a defense as there's 3 DC heroes up here, but 4 wings are rotating and trying to find a pickoff potentially in, obviously, this tier 1 tower.
Do you see an interesting build here from Faith Beyond? Historically, it's normally been either a Blink Rush or Arcane Boots for this hero, but because he has the Keeper of the Light on his side, he's just going for more right-click damage, and with the Phase Boots, does hit pretty hard, has even taken a point in stats, so Faith Beyond, no Drunken Haze yet. There's no Ursa or super heavy right-click hero. Later on, you'll definitely want it to deal with Alchemist, but we're not quite there yet. I still just see Weehaw farming away uncontested in the jungle though, Mont. 7k net worth. Relic is coming very soon. He's on good pace. Wings have to start taking towers. They will try for it now. Top lane. Lift into an arrow. It does hit.
Misery's in trouble, but gets false promise immediately. The TP coming through Moo. Doesn't have a Blink Dagger, but he's got a Vanguard. Incredibly tanky, but the split will come out. Taking a lot of damage. Gets Silent Step and will finally go down.
They need more of the Cyclones there. Looking for the Oracle. Chasing a bit deeper. Immolating him down. The Frost Arrows will slow Saksa, and he too will fall. Crucial kills for Wings, but do like this response by DC. Keeping the pressure on mid. Weehaw doesn't die there. He's still farming towards the Relic. Resolution able to draw them back by pushing the bottom lane. So they limit the damage to 2 kills and 1 tower. They don't lose the tier 2 top. At this stage of the game, Wings only have 2 towers, 12 minutes in, running a Drow. DC is still relatively comfortable here, but those are the types of rotations you need to see from Wings. And on the flip side for DC, Brewmaster Split, it does have a long cooldown. That's the weakness of this hero. So with no Blink quite yet, it's about to come, and more importantly, with no Brewmaster Split, now would be a good time for DC to look for a smoke gank, try and find a pickoff.
They might do so, but for Moo, he didn't even have to TP up to that tier 1 tower. It was clear that he was farming bottom, like you were talking about with Weehaw mid, but instead he heads up that top lane as the tower goes down, and it actually punishes him. He goes down. He's not going to be able to farm that Blink Dagger as quickly. Do see, of course, there is going to be that Relic picked up now for the Alchemist. And they'll continue to try to farm it. He is, of course, top in the net worth. The next 3, it is all Wings all day. The Axe was 2nd or 3rd for a while, but now, after those tower trades, after those 2 kills going the way of Wings, they're in a very good position here.
Misery. Looks like he might have wanted to set up on Shadow top lane. Of course, the Nature's Prophet is always that ever-looming +1, so you really don't want to be visible past the tower on your own. Can even see Misery just drop the lane ward here top, so they are just looking to set traps for a Drow who goes off on her own. And Mirana, the more mobile, survivable carry. The good news is Wings are going to get that burst damage pretty quickly. Blink closing in on the Aghanim Scepter. With the Ags, they do have the burst damage to kill off, I would say, almost everyone. Alchemists, they'll need to chain pretty much every spell perfectly when Chemical Rage is up, especially if the Oracle's behind it, but the rest of the DC lineup is very killable, so looking at a couple minutes down the road here, as soon as Waynes get the Mirana Ags, they are and they have the Brewmaster split,
exactly.
They will be going for their next timing. So either just pushing the bottom tower, potentially smoke ganking and wrapping around. They want to take towers, drop deep wards, and start trying to choke and starve the Alchemist out.
The Radiant's done for the Alchemist. It comes roughly a couple seconds after the Blink Dagger for the Brewmaster.
That's a pretty fast Radiant.
Yeah, 13.5 minutes we'll call it. He will TP to the mid lane as they'll get together now. He won't be looking to fight still for a period of time. More than likely, they're going to smoke up with the other 2 heroes and head bottom and try to defend this tier 1 tower that is clearly being assaulted. It's Ice and it's Inso nearby. The rest behind, but setting it maybe a bait here.
DC definitely want to contest this, though. They're smoked up. They're creeping in, and Wings are sending the full 5-hero complement. They just bought the Mirana Egg, but it's not here yet, Mon. But they're going to be lacking firepower, and the Brew Split comes onto Saksa.
Saksa will be able to use that Fate Edict. They'll try to get away from the Brew Split. There's going to be the Ghost Shift on the backside, though, and it's in trouble. Moonlight Shadow coming out, and here comes Weehaw, the newly minted Radiant, starting to do some work. Chemical Rage, he's healing up plenty. The Illuminate not doing nearly enough damage. Shadow, of course, trying to escape under the Moonlight Shadow's guys, and now the call. It's up. It'll be out of the Brewmaster. Can then bring him down. The X mark. The arrow. They will get the kill.
Finally has the Eggs. Blink had to run all the way back, but it's turning the fight. Resolution down. Weehaw almost dead. 3 have fallen for DC, and then the Oracle, the 4th. Weehaw lifts away on a shred of HP. That Marana just made a long journey. She walked like past her sentry ward all the way over here into the woods to grab the eggs, comes back to the fight. And I think DC were just looking at this fight like they can't really engage into us. They don't have enough damage, but little did they know the Marana eggs was on the way. A game-changing pickup there. Completely salvaged the fight.
Yeah, that Aghanim set, we've seen it do so much work from even the wild card to the group stages, and again, he jumps in and he just does.
He hit all of them. Damage. He hit all 5 with the double starfall there. A couple, I think, to 3 or 4. That was brutal stuff.
The only good news for DC is that Weehaw survives. He's up to 10,000 net worth, and he is going to have to put in a lot of work in this game as he continues to try to farm up. He's up to 1,600 gold. He's got, of course, the Sage's Mask, and then obviously the Radiance as well as the Armlet for now. But again, it's going to be DC now underfarmed on both their Axe as well as their Resolution Nature's Prophet sitting on the drum.
They can set up here top, though. They're going to do it. The boat, the Torrent connects on Blink. Can they burst him down, though?
Asleep and Moonlight Shadow ready to go. X-Mark's not there for Misery. Looks like Blink will be recalled, and he will make it out in time as the Keeper of the Light will bring him through to that mid lane.
With the boat on cooldown, I think they can just take Roshan, and that's exactly what you see Wings doing. Instant Moonlight Shadow, maybe trying to find an additional pick at the Ancients, but DC need this boat to fight around the pit. They only have the Axe, and with no Blink Dagger, they really have no initiation into the pit, so this looks like a small deal. Kunkka Ultimate is a very low cooldown, only a minute, but this 1 minute is being instantly hard punished by Wings, taking the Aegis, and the Aegis is really what fuels pretty much every push strategy. Now Wings are going to ramp up the aggression, and DC will have to play the split push game. They don't really want to fight head on unless they get a great setup. They'll have to be patient here.
The Brewmaster split will be up and ready to go, and they will grab it. The Aegis going the way of Wings as well. Shadow will be picking up the Aegis as a DC comes through, but meanwhile, DC were looking to contest over here at the opposing Ancient stacks, and actually you can see there's a fair bit of them as well, so Weehaw dropping down that Acid Spray, potentially getting more farm, as he has something flying out of the Courier as we speak, and it is going to be those Boots of Travel, plus 1,100 gold on the Alchemist right now, LD.
So, what does Alchemist look to do this game? I don't really feel like any of the Aghanim Scepter's upgrades are all that game-changing. The main one that comes to mind is the Nature's Prophet Ags, where you can just stall the game and play for late game, but at the same time, I feel like DC, it's not like, oh, we're just waiting for a Venomancer to get an Ags, and then we win team fight straight up. We've seen the Kunkka Ags before. I think we saw it, what was it, from OG?
Yeah.
It was very underwhelming. That's not an Aghanim Scepter you're rushing. The Axe Ags is fun in pubs. Situationally, it can be pretty strong, but this is not a snowballing Axe. This is not a game where he's going to have it. So basically, you're just relying on Alchemist to be that big frontliner that charges in and controls the fights and zones back the Drow, but
things are going to smoke up. They're going to head around the backside and try to dive behind this tier 2 potentially, whether in mid or bottom.
Oh, they're going to drop a ward here. Do they have any?
DC.
No wards right now for Wings.
Wings, they already have the
Just
ward
the
on the
one
high ground, ready to go. Maybe they want to put one in lane as well. But for the time being, they will just get that tier 2 tower. No defense coming out. DC know that they're not strong enough to take these engagements coming through. And so, again, like you talked about, it's just split pushing coming out from DC, more and more so as we get into 17 minutes into this game. We really need that Blink Dagger for Moo. It's not up yet. 1,800 gold. He's getting close. He could really use that next item.
He went for the early Vanguard, and we've seen this. The team to me that's been the most successful with Axe is eHome this tournament. I don't know if they've dropped a game with the hero. Every game they've run Axe, he's been dominant. They rush Vanguard on him as well. But what they do is they really prioritize jungle stacking. You will see consistently Lanham has created 2 or 3 camps with like 3-4 stacks, one of them being the Ancient. So he basically gets Vanguard, he goes and kills 3 stacks, he has his Blink Dagger almost. But Moo didn't really get that level of support. He was more farming lanes, killing off single stack camps, and so it is a very slow Blink Dagger as a result.
He was a part of that aggressive tri-lane, which is the biggest problem for him. Again, no stacks coming in when your supports are really busy in that bottom lane. And yes, they killed a couple of heroes in the meantime, but
they made like 1 triple stack or double stack of Ancients, I think, but that is a far cry from what eHome likes to do with the Axe. So it is giving a big window for Wings here to farm up, and I would definitely expect before this Aegis expires, they will go for another play. Tier 2 mid is the ideal objective. Tier 2 top, less important. But to aid with their map control, they buy a gem on the Rubik now. And with this, Wings 1-1 fight means they probably deward all of DC side of the map. It's only really Alchemist and NP who feel comfortable to move out, and even so, can be picked off if they get caught off guard by a Moonlight Shadow.
Misery now building into that, I guess, armlet that you see so often onto this Kunkka. He'll have that item. In fact, he'll pick it up now as they are probably looking for a smoke, as the Blink Dagger is done for Moo. They're still waiting on for the Orchid Malevolence for the Nature's Prophet. He's getting close as he has one Oblivion Staff completed. The second one very close to completion as well, as another pause comes out. Wings having some trouble, but the Axe is being completed very early on here for this Drow Ranger.
Yeah, Orchid, great item to have against the Brewmaster. That's the main hero you really want to be silencing, especially since Beyond isn't farming all that well. He's an off-lane Brewmaster. He's been coming to a lot of fights, and they don't have a strong defensive support. So Glimmer Cape on Ice already picked up the Keeper of the Light. That's one way to maybe save your Brewmaster in fights, especially since DC currently just have Sentries, no real reliable detection. But eventually Brew will need to get a BKB, or the supports will have to get a Lotus Orb, or maybe get Linken's. They will need a solution for the Orchid, but that's down the road. But yeah, like you said, Agadib's really quick for the Drow Ranger. This is a great way to do it, the Nature's Prophet split push. And I like this adjustment, I think more importantly as far as items go, from Blink on the Mirana. He goes into the Yasha now, so you know, something that was briefly discussed during the draft is, I don't know if you want to go all in on magic damage against an Oracle, because obviously he completely counters it with Fate's Edict, but looks like Blake will transition back into physical damage here at the Yasha. We see our team has entered the field of battle, apparently.
I think Wings are one of the few to still use that courier. I've seen it mostly on them. I'm trying to remember if anyone else uses it, but nonetheless.
Is it, at this point, is it a lucky courier, do you think?
It must be.
Or unlucky?
I mean, well, to be fair, they've had their fair share of not so good luck going into Manila and a couple of other tournaments, but they've been playing well recently.
This match is so important for Wayne, just to get the monkey off their back a little bit on the main stage. At Manila, they came in as huge favorites. They'd previously won ESO 1 Manila in dominant fashion. This is like, we looked at some of the recent results, Mott. It's like first or second place of the tournament, or basically the bottom. There was very little like a solid, you know, third, fourth place showing from this team. It's like 7th, 8th, 13th, 16th, or first. So to me, the big difference between what we've seen in their strong performances and the weaker ones, they haven't done it at a major yet. They haven't done it at a Valve event. Those are the ones where the pressure's on the most. They are a younger team by and large, and relatively inexperienced as a squad. So getting this first game win, getting the series going the right way, I think they're the ones who really need it. DC, they have more veteran leadership, mainly for Misery. Of course, you always want to be up 1-0, but it's especially important for the less experienced team. I
mean, even in some of the group stage games that we were lucky enough to cast for Wings, is that I felt like they were close to throwing or almost even just downright throwing.
Wings is always treading that very fine line between brilliance and just what the hell are you doing facepalm level Dota. They make it exciting, and
they certainly do, especially with their
when it looks
too.
Good, it looks really freaking good.
Like,
and then when it backfires, it's like, oh my god, what is this team? How are they at TI?
Insane. Their drafts, I remember they did draft that off-lane Spirit Breaker for Faith Beyond, and then he had that Aegis Seal, which was one of the most nuts plays I've ever seen.
He charged them, I think he stunned 4 or 5 heroes,
and while he was charging into the pit.
Got the Roshan last hit, and stole the Aegis.
Yeah, at the same time.
For every one of those, though, there's like a time where he just, you know, just runs in, dies, and then they can't take a team fight.
They're out of position, they're too far up, you know, looking for a solo kill, and then they have no buyback when they get caught out in that position, so Wings are, they kind of have to, we've said this before, they need to not beat themselves in a lot of these instances. And right now they are ahead to a certain extent, but there is a Weeha Alchemist in this game.
Pride of the Americas, of course, Digital Chaos, with the one and only David Hull, Mr. Moo himself. Buddy.
What a player.
Proudly carrying the flag for the whole team, the rest of whom are European, but yeah, this is a back and forth game. And you mentioned, yeah, there's an Alchemist farming, but the way that Waynes are itemizing, I feel like they can deal pretty well with an Alchemist late game if he's the only farmed hero. They have good late game physical damage. Drow Ranger, Mirana, they have a lot of tools to kite him, or to take a hero like the Oracle out of the fights, just Cyclone him and then go deal with the Alchemist. Alchemist will not 1v5 this game. He is going to need help from the team. They have to keep forming up on the Nature's Prophet. And they do need to track down the Drow in fights. It's only now that we're going to see the Blink Dagger picked up on the Axe, so that's the big question mark to me. Is I think DC should be able to catch Drow. They have Nature's Prophet to scout and jump her, the X turret to set up on her, the Axe who is BKB piercing lockdown. Like, they have the tools to get on her, and Al can just kind of run in. But will they be able to find her quickly, or will a Moonlight Shadow, potentially a Brewmaster split, allow them to protect the Drow and keep her alive? That is the big question moving forward.
My biggest concern, as well as the Brewmaster split, is just how much will he be able to do in these fights. And so far, and when the Brewmaster split is up, and it's just solid Dota, you just don't want to fight into that.
It's a psychological fear.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to bring down early on into the game. Sure, later on when they have more armor reduction or they have good right click, they can absolutely take down the Brewmaster, and maybe even before he can get off that split to begin with. But for DC right now, it's just back to farming, back to getting that Alchemist up to his Manta style. Maybe they can go for a smoke sometime in the near future, but again, fighting into that Aegis with 2 minutes still up might not be what they're looking for.
Well, a very even game here as far as gold, which generally news if you're up against Alchemist, but to also not be down a lot at the same time is pretty good news if you're up against the Drow Ranger, who normally has like a 4 or 5 tower advantage at this point if things are going well. So AC looking to take the tier 1 mid, Wings grabbing the tier 2 top, both teams trading. The next big question is going to be, can DC defend high ground? Because Wings, they are a-coming.
Yeah. They want to put some pressure. They want to force TPs back, especially when the Nature's Prophet, who's down bottom, focusing on that tier 2 tower. Torrent will come out. Shadow will get hit. Still with the Aegis for at least a minute and a half here. Acid Spray laid down as well. They got the rotations. They will back up together. And finally, Resolution forced it back from that tier 2 tower in that bottom lane.
He has his eggs now, so Shadow becomes a threat to just scale more effectively heading late game. He will turbo farm here. We often see even Maelstrom or Mjolnir picked up after this to further lend extra deep push to the team. Brewmaster grabbing the Vlads now, a solid pushing item. It helps solve some of the Brewmaster's issues up against the minus armor from Acid Spray, decent physical damage, and it's just generally a good 5-man item. So I think what you're seeing from Wings is they do want to play the map control game. They will be looking to 5-man. They don't necessarily feel like they have to end the game by 30 minutes, but they don't want to just let Alchemist and Prophet split push all over the map, and I think the tools that they're picking up will allow them to limit that farm.
Yeah.
So watch out for Moonlight Shadow ganks if you're DC. Be wary when you don't have vision, and ideally try to snipe this gem, but Innocence very crafty on the Rubik, and so far you haven't really seen him move away from the team for very long.
Doesn't have a lot of farm, just the gem, arcanes, and magic wand and a cloak. The cloak will help with a lot of the magical damage later on down the road, but still, there is that Orc Malevolence picked up for Resolution, and now might be your best bet for DC, especially with this Aegis expiring. If they want to go for an engagement, and it looks like they want to smoke up and try to find something here, LD. They'll look for Wings, and we'll see if they can find anybody of importance.
Really good timing. If they can catch the Drow and Burster now, whilst no Aegis, it's ideal.
Oh, Under Shadow's going to come out. The Ghost Shift as well is going to come through. Torrent's up as well. They have the split up, and Shadow about to get bursted down. Dead for 57. Can they follow it up with any more?
They look for Eyesight, the Keeper of the Light. Gandalf trapped in the trees, pulled back, blasting his way to home, but he can't make it out. And next, onto the Brewmaster. Split about to end. Decent micro here, but he's going to get corralled real quick. The Sprout, oh, it doesn't catch Faith Beyond. He blinks out. Now the Battle Hunger, they might be able to run him down. Mod, I don't think he makes it out of this one. Clapped, surrounded, beaten down, chopped, and decapitated. Moo will finish the job. Wings with the Aegis expiring, just we're too far forward, and DC able to punish.
A 2,500 gold exchange fight.
They didn't lose their gem. That's pretty much the only good thing you could say about that trade, or, well, that exchange, such as it was for Wings.
Great call, great smoke, great decision from DC to go for that engagement there. They knew the Aegis was expiring. Too far forward again for Wings for Shadow. Caught out of position, and they have nothing there to help him out.
Generally, when you see Drow, you see a strong defensive support to Protector. DC did ban the Dazzle. Shadow Demon, I believe, was still available heading into Phase 2. The Oracle was already picked up, so there were somewhat limited options. Even Abaddon is an okay defensive support, but they didn't pick anything to Protector. They went Rubik instead, which is not a hero they run very often. If you're not going to pick a defensive support, you really have to mind your positioning and make sure that you have strong vision. In that case, DC caught them off guard. That was the Axe Blink reveal, which is why I think Wings were surprised. But it's 21 minutes in. Axe has been farming as a core. He's likely going to have a Blink at that point anyway, even if he's not farming that well. So Wings just getting sloppy, and DC able to punish.
Blink with the newly minted Manta style will keep you home. Good news for Wings is, of course, that Manta style allowing him for better right click later on down the road. Obviously, the Dispels to come out as well. Hurricane Pike more than likely being built for Resolution, as he has a Forest Staff coming out, and so a range coming through for the Nature's Prophet, and just a pretty strong build altogether when it comes to the right clicking of the Furion.
Drow Ranger really starting to fall behind now. 9k down on the Alchemist. Went the Ags build, now going into what looks to be a Maelstrom. Like, it's a great farming build for Drow, but she needs so much this game watch. She really needs a BKB to deal with the X-Tor combo, because no one can really protect her. She also needs an MKB to deal with the evasion on the Alchemist already from the Radiance with the mischance. Potentially a Solar Crest will be picked up later on this game as they smoke and they do move in, but Innocent's there to break
got
it.
the gem. Will they lose it now? There's the Moonlight Shadow. Great telekinesis, and again, the Primal Split will come through. Innocent's low, though. Might fall to this. Weehaw wants this kill. The Radiance burn. Is it enough? He's so low, and he will not make it out, but can they get the gem? Weehaw is now getting focused down as well. Blink's in the vicinity. We have a great Illuminate coming out. Shadow is laying into them with the right click. Moon's about to fall as well.
They're not focusing the Drow Ranger. Gem just lying harmlessly on the sidelines. That's 3 down. Resolution will have to retreat. Now the Alchemist could be in trouble here. Weehaw, though, pretty tanky, and they lack additional crowd control at this point. No more Mirana or Rubik, the reliable stun, so they don't lose the Alch, they don't lose the Nature's Prophet, their 2 most important farming cores, but still a wand fight there for Wings, and it does show you if you don't isolate the Drow and focus her down in team fights, Wings will hurt, and they will hurt bad, but the later this game goes, the tankier that Weehaw gets, it's just going to be an arms race that generally Alch will come out on top of, so Wings really needing to get the jump. As you can see, Weehaw rushing onto Ice, the Glimmer Cape. Very useful here to protect him from the Alch, and looks like Innocence did get his gem back. They're going to need a lot of physical damage to take down Alch later on.
Yes.
Eventually, the Sky just gets unkillable otherwise.
Which is why I think the Mirana transition into that right-click roll later on down the road. Obviously, you have the Drow Ranger, but the physical damage is going to be coming out from both of those heroes. But now DC are starting to take the map control back, regardless of the fact that they have a gem or not. They have the Octarine core now completed for Weehaw. He's getting to that point where he's going to start building Aghanim Scepters. One more item, and he's going to be good to go. See, though, Wings are about to smoke up themselves, and they'll head over. Roche looks to be about to respawn in about 7 seconds time, so a pick beforehand would be exactly what they need, and we'll see if
they only see Moo right now. And an Axe right next to his tier 2 is not an easy pick-off. I think they're hoping someone else is near the Ancients, potentially. Creeping in. They do a vision on the Axe, and they're going to jump him.
The arrow. Moo's going to be caught. He does get his blade mill off in time. Still very tanky. Unstable Concoction. Face behind. He's got the Primal Split. Can he get it off? Great Torrent. Still, there's going to be the usage of the Ghost Ship, and it will hit at least the Brewlings, but there's that Primal Split done.
But they haven't gotten anything with it. They're just going to back away, and yeah, sure, you lose an Axe, but you trade a Primal Split for that. They ideally just walk into Roshan now, but if they do so, an Axe's buyback, they're going to get team wiped. They don't know if he does. Pretty risky. Boat pulling down in 30 seconds. Wayne's thinking about it. They are going to roll the dice. This is a team that's not afraid to take risks. We've seen that before.
No Axe buyback, but still, even without it, they have Acid Spray.
Meanwhile, Mirana scouted out here. Weehaw moving on to Blake. He does manage to miss a dodge. A great play from Blake.
Nicely done from the Mirana, making sure he avoids that stun. That would have been bad, but they do push them out of the Roach Pit for now. Although it doesn't look like DC will go any further, and that's it, like you talked about. They got the Axe kill for the Primal Split cooldown, and now DC can think about hanging in the Roach themselves. They have plenty of damage coming in from the Alchemist, but we'll see if they want to try to take Roach with all 5 Wings heroes alive.
I don't know how Wings fight around the pit with the Bruce Split down. They probably just have to give up this Aegis if DC want to go for it. Even with a great arrow, a 4/5 hero Illuminate, it's still very difficult to see them bursting anyone down. DC hanging around the pit. Perhaps they're a bit hesitant. The Brewmaster Split is up in 40. And so if they don't go soon, they're not going to end up getting it at all. Creeping around the pit. But it seems like they don't want to take the risk either.
Oh, there's a double damage rune right next to the pit for DC if they want it.
A gift from the frog.
Yeah, again.
Seen in bottom lane, Mirana gets caught out by the X-Bits. Already used here. Blink to be in trouble.
And he's about to fall. Mana Leak, they have the Moonlight Shadow though.
No detection.
There's no dust. He'll TP in the tree line. Just is too late from Moo, who did pick up that double damage rune, and Wings will get out.
Oh, DC have to go ganky Mirana with dust. That is very big blunder from them. They may walk back towards the pit, but the thing is, now Brewmaster Split is up. Moonlight Shadow down, so if Wings want to initiate into the pit, they would either have to smoke or do so with DC knowing they're coming. DC in the end will, I guess, take it for free.
Even if they started moving now, DC are going to get this way too quickly. Wings, even if they start positioning themselves over to the Roche pit, by the time they get there, Roche will have certainly fallen. As you can see, he is done already. Moo will pick up the Aegis this time. Weeha is so tanky. I don't think they can kill him. Not to mention he's 6-slotted pretty much already. That'll be that.
May look to give an Ags here to one of his teammates soon. Still has the Shivas, or the more likely the Shivas to complete. He charges down mid. Missouri. Having a little fish at the creep wave. DC, they'll just be looking for a pickoff with the X-Torn, and there's just no real counterplay for Wings. You can try and glimmer that hero, but for now we don't see any BKBs picked up on the cores, and they don't have a great natural support. Potentially with a perfect time Manta, Blink could dodge it, but he often wants to use that to farm or to dodge other spells like the Alk stun. So DC, they have so many options now, Mod. They can sit back and farm with this Aegis. They can apply pressure. They're not under a timer necessarily, as long as they don't let the Drow get out of control. And it's Wayne's playing defense. They're sitting back in their base. This draft, the way they've itemized, picking a Drow, running a Keeper of the Light Rubik support duo, no real great late game lockdown coming from these two, and even a Brewmaster who goes for your standard utility and Blink Glads, he's not going to scale all that well. So DC in the driver's seat as they move in top.
And they're going to go straight for the tower. Keeper of the Light does have the Aghanim Scepter now, but something to keep in mind. The Radiant Illusion is doing some work, but
could be a game changer. They have good wave clear, but
his guard is also done.
While the Chemical Rage is up, Weehawk can just hit the tower without a fear in the world.
Pushing bottom is the Mirana, looking to push into that tier 3 tower, creep wave.
They can recall her. This is the beauty of Keeper of the Light, and I like the way Wings are playing this. They don't really want to think ahead on fights, so they're trying to stall and trade as best they can. But Weeha, even if you kill his creeps, this out just keeps on hitting. Backdoor protection will cooperate, but now another wave has arrived.
Mirana has backed up from that bottom lane, that tier 3 tower. Seems to be safe for now. The tier 2 taking a long time to bring down, even with the Acid Spray. Of course, the Chemical Rage up as well. They have the Glyph still ready to go, and Resolution has TP'd back to the base. It looks like he will defend it. The tier 3 tower will take pretty much half its damage and health, and make sure that they try to keep that up and alive as Resolution won't.
They're moving in now, though. They have found Faith Beyond, Blink out. The X-Ends, nicely done there. And now they look for the counter initiation, perhaps, but the Courier gets sniped by Moo. He did commit the dump for this. Might mean they aren't able to get a kill later on, but
Donor Recipe was on that Courier. There's the Moonlight Shadow, X marks on the Shadow. The Torrent will come out as well. Now the Unstable Concoction.
Moo got lifted, he didn't get the call off. Now he's DP on the tower. He is the Aegis Bearer, but he might waste it for nothing. The boat comes in while the Brew zones back. Weeha keeps him out of the fight. They pop the Aegis quickly. Great fight so far for Wade. Can they get more? Misery out of mana. Moving on to the Kunkka. This is looking bad for DC.
Blink is going to find himself a kill. The damage, of course, now with a Fuse Blade as well. They get off the Gust as well. They're going to look for more.
DC choking here, and Wings with the punish. They'll slay the Alchemist too, and now they might get moved.
Now he needs to get out. And this looks like he will be able to get away safely for the time being, blinking away.
Well, that was a very deep dive from the Axe there, and if you blink call right while the hero's getting stunned by the turret, you can get it off, but the Rubik lift was just too timely. Moo a little bit slow in the blink call, and the team got completely zoned out of the fight by the Brewmaster split. So DC unable to deal with that, and I think that's just an overextension. You don't need to run in with the Axe there. You could just calmly siege with the Alk Illusion, with the hero every time Chemical Rage is up, and take the tower. They'd already brought it down 3/4 of the way, but the DC felt like they could get more.
Resolution is going to get caught. Manalik will come through. He'll try to keep the out arrow.
Oh, the Monolith stun!
Manalik stun into the arrow on the low ground. The Starstorm, he might make it out. No, it's too much damage coming in from Blink, as well as Ice.
Who expects the roaming, ganking Keeper of the Light? Certainly not DC.
The Aghanim Scepter, the recalls, and the Manalik as well has done so much work for this Keeper of the Light and for Wings as well. Net worth graph is starting to swing back up in favor of Wings. Still right now on DC's side, but a couple of heroes dead, especially Weeha, not farming. They're starting to push in to that tier 2 tower mid. Couple of TPs coming through. Torrent, not on the mark, as Misery was looking, but he finds the X-Mark. X-Mark's on through Faith Beyond right now, still doesn't have the ultimate. Call comes in, Icesight's getting caught low, but he heals himself, coming out with the Illuminate, still in trouble, getting chased down on the other side. Shiva's guard coming in, they will grab the kill onto 2.
Blink is dealing with the backliners. Moo is going to go down, the Starstorm train in. Wings finding 3 kills and looking for more. The Diffusal Blade available. Arrow dodged by Misery, but it's all Wings in the driver's seat, and with it being daytime mod, they can heal the whole team up. They're going to keep on going.
Yeah.
Ice looking to heal the team and commence the siege. A free fountain trip for the whole squad. All of a sudden, it's Wings looking to break the base.
Nature's Wrath doing a really good job pushing this back. Now this Team's Guard will come through with the blinding light. Push back with the Mana Leak. Weehaw in trouble. The right click. They're going to come through and do so much damage. And he's in trouble. The Primal's with the arrow. Weehaw will fall.
Oh, that stolen Berserker's call by Innocence. The little Rubik that could. Working this tower down. They forced out the buyback. Alchemist getting silenced. Now it's Rax that wins one. It's Rax again. First of the game. They draw the blood here, and DC are scrambling to defend. They got to get kills after that buyback.
Innocence will get caught. There's New York with the Torrent as well coming in. They'll grab the kill. He's dead for 46. X marks on Blink. No more leap. No more Manta Style. Can he pick up the scale? They'll bring him back, and Weehaw will go to work with the help of Stocks to get in the kill with Purifying Flame.
That Illuminate just barely missing him. Does make it out. Survives. They also get the gem for DC, but they lost a Rax. Overall, Wings going to be very happy with that turn of events. By no means is the game over, but gives Wings that extra boost to try and take it later. The Alk buyback slows down his item progression. He's not really significantly ahead for this stage of the game. Only one item up. A really good Alk showing. Often you'll see he's like 2 tier 4 items ahead of the enemy carries.
Yeah, the Alchemist, of course, with his buyback, won't be able to get that Aghanim Scepter quite as soon as he would like.
And look at this. Faith Beyond has an Assault Cuirass. This time the Courier, the Weasel Crow, makes it back safely. These two Rs will allow the Mirana and the Drow Ranger to scale very well in the late game. Vlad's NAC. DC have to be concerned when these carries, the Drow, the Mirana, get MKBs, start to round out their kits. Alchemist is going to have a really hard time fighting. He doesn't have a BKB. He can be kited extremely hard. Bit vulnerable to magic damage. They have the Oracle to protect him if Saksa doesn't die, but even then, they could still just look to slow him down with frost arrows, kite him with the pounce, the leap from Mirana, and I don't think an Alchemist on his own is going to outcarry a Drow Ranger Mirana late. He really needs to be ahead.
I mean, there's a Butterfly now on the Mirana. There's a BKB that's been picked up for the Drow Ranger as well, so that Ghost Ship, which has been a nuisance in bringing that Shadow Drow Ranger down so many times, is now not going to really do anything here except for give his team rum.
I mean, look at Blink. He's hitting for like 370 a pop as a Mirana. That's not counting the additional attack speed that you get when you leap. He also has the Diffusal Blade and the Butterfly to chase and to kite. And the Drow Ranger hitting just about as hard with a BKB now. They're going to move on the bottom lane, Misery.
Ghost Ship.
Boat.
He's going to TP out. It looks like he will be able to make it away. They also smoked up, looking for someone in this bottom lane. Wings won't be successful, but they have plenty of time to work with, obviously. Wings, they're the ones in command of this game. The Axe.
Oh, they're going to find Axe.
He needs to blink out and move with the great reactions. Will make it away. Crimson Guard done now. He has the gem as well. They're trying to chase him down, but I don't think they'll be successful. In a sense, will drop a ward instead and back away with his team as Resolution continues to split push top.
Thing is, DC, you might look at their lineup and say, okay, well, if they can't just win head-on fights, they have a Nature's Prophet and an Alchemist with a standard, Radiance, Manta, Octarine build. You could just split push, right? But the thing is, both of the Wings carries can deal with the split push late game. Mirana with an Eggs was fantastic against it. If she wants to go for more of a right-click build, she can still get a Mjolnir, which also works. Clear out waves pretty effectively. And Drow Ranger with Eggs and Mjolnir can also deep-push. So that's where you need someone else to gank and punish those heroes deep pushing. But with Keeper of the Light, it can very easily just be a +1 there. You have to worry about Moonlight Shadow ganks. I don't think DC can just fall back on Rat to win this game. They can maybe find pickoffs while split pushing and then take Rax, but purely ratting their way to victory is not going to happen.
It will get easier as not only the Mjolnir comes out for the Nature's Prophet, but he also gets fed an Aghanim Scepter by the Alchemist. So there is more room to work with here.
At the same time, more creeps for the Drow and the Mirana to farm potentially.
Very true, and they're already farming so well as it stands. But it does put the Nature's Prophet above the Drow Ranger in net worth right now because he's fed that Aghanim Scepter. How much it'll actually help him remains to be seen.
I feel like that's like one of those deceptive things where it's like, oh, this hero's more farm, but do those heroes do as much with the farm? Especially with the auras that the Brewmaster brings to fights.
That is the question. Kunkka will pick up a Lotus Orb for himself. Soxus has the mech for a period of time. EC are getting some good items, but they just might be a little too far behind. And it was pretty much as soon as Ice got that Aghanim Scepter that they started getting in trouble here. He's been doing some good work with the recall, obviously.
Yeah, even though the supports have not had especially the Rubik has had kind of a rough game, 1 and 4 here. They have been hugely impactful. The gem pickup was really big. That Rubik lift top single-handedly won them the fight, killing off the Axe, and then with that, the Brewmaster's own deck the rest of the team and manages to find them kills. They need the Axe in fights. And then on top of that, Keeper of the Light, he sets up the game bottom. He's been deep-pushing. He hasn't been getting caught. 2-2 and 12 for Ice Ice in a game where, frankly, Keeper of the Light kind of looks like food. There's a lot of catch. There's a lot of pick-off potential, but he just hasn't been dying. So great play by the Wayne supports here. Them in the game.
See if Weeha decides to get any more items, change any items out. But for now, he is still 6-slotted with the items that he's had for the past 10 minutes or so here at this point. But now, DC looking at jump and move. This is the call, though. And they get the gust up as well. Face beyond. Ultimate coming out. Here comes the ghost. Will it do enough? The BKB's already up in shadow and move. Looks to be the second death on DC's side.
Oh, you gotta hit those calls, Moo. They had vision of him coming in, and he just whiffed. That's unfortunate, and it likely leads to a Roshan here, barring buybacks. The arrow into the pit. Blink is already going for the Aegis should they get it, Mont. They will be going for a second lane of Rag.
You might be able to buy that here on move, but it's too late. It goes down so quickly again. Both teams able to deal with Roche exceptionally fast.
But Aegis, to me, a bigger deal for Wayne's. DC, if they get the Aegis, they can't really put it on Alk without giving up a very important item for the hero, because he's already 6-slotted. So then you give it to the Axe, but we saw Moo dies once, he either dies twice or runs away. Axe often can't really do much with that second life. Not because his call, like his spells are still really useful for round 2, the call especially, but if the team's dead, Axe isn't going to kill on his own, so... Wayne's with the Aegis. This will be an Aegis where they look for a second lane of Rax. They're in no hurry, they've got time to farm their next round of items. Checking out their current gold. Is there anything else important they'll pick up? It looks like a Satanic for Blink, so Mirana just wants to get mega tanky. Hurricane Pike for Shadow, BKB for him. The itemization of the Wayne's carries is basically saying, we know we don't have strong defensive supports, so we're going to build items that let us stay alive on our own in fights, so that it doesn't matter if Keeper dies or if Rubik dies. We know we don't have a Shadow Demon, we don't have an Oracle. Let's just itemize so that we don't die on our own.
Faith Beyond, he does have the cheese, but there's the silence. He gets recalled, though, as there's going to be the misses from Resolution.
That evasion.
Wow.
That could have completely taken the wheels off this push.
And they're pushing to the top lane, and of course, Resolution just TP'd, but he has the scroll ready to go. The Illuminate coming out, just trying to deal some damage.
Rubik has the stolen Berserker's Call for this fight.
Perfect time to push. It's daytime now in Shadow. Sieges from afar, and is doing a great job of it as well. But down bottom, Resolution trying to split push.
Pretty slow split push, though. He doesn't have items that kill buildings. An arrow is going to hit on Moo. Do they go for this?
They're diving deep. Faith Beyond still with that ultimate and the cheese. Shiva's guard. X marks will go. Shadow still has the BKB. Pops from the owner as well. Weeha now getting slowed down. Blink gets called. It's going to be on 2, but the lift comes out immediately. The ghost ship isn't going to save him.
They just don't have the damage, but Wings are just rolling through DC. They will maybe get a melee Rex bottom, but it comes at the cost of 2 of their own, and Wings potentially just going for the GG now. They're going to pop that Oracle. They dive deeper for Weeha. It's tier 4s all the way. Wayne's trying to get the DC monkey off their back here at Key Arena. Can DC stop this siege?
Resolution is still pushing. Ice might get caught out by Weeha. He will get dropped down as soon as his Jules is done. It looks like Faith Beyond. He's out of course of his ultimate, but he still has that cheese. Shadow. He's got the Aegis as well. Weeha just doesn't do enough right now. He will at least use the Aegis coming through.
They killed him once, but meanwhile Nature's Prophet forced to turn tail and run. Wayne's backing off just with the Keeper of the Light, who bought back for this, is going to hold the line, while Wayne's goes for the DC throat onto the tier 4 towers. Weeha getting silenced. Weeha is dead. Where are the buybacks from DC? It's chaos, and Digital Chaos needs a little bit less of it now as Wayne's continue rolling through them.
Misery solo will get healed up, but here comes Innocent stealing Unstable Corruption. He's going to get the kill onto Saxa. They want this throne.
Throne in jeopardy, no split push inside. DC losing here in the late game, getting massacred.
That's it. GG is called. Weeha dead for 110. Wings will take it. Game number 1 goes to them here in the upper bracket.
You give Wings their Drow Ranger, and a lot of fans would say, you're gonna have a bad time. It felt like maybe DC had the solutions. They put pressure on the lanes early. They had a carry that gets very tanky. But Wayne's, to me, they just outplayed DC more than anything. The Keeper of the Light relocates that really